Hi everyone, how are you? Just getting set up here. I know that you hate this screen, but some of you like it because you know it means I'm making a video here. So let's get over here. Let's get into this one, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna have this video playing in the back because I believe that this video really is going to speak to what I'm talking about here. Let's see, we'll go back. Sorry. Hang on just a second, loves. We're going to go back. And, okay. So it's important that this video is playing in the background because just because Shanann said what was happening here wasn't true, does that make it not true? Or is the truth right here before our eyes and everybody's eyes? One of the concepts that people are not understanding, and that's okay, people don't have to understand this, is that this is covert, narcissistic, verbal abuse. There is financial abuse. And yes, there is physical abuse. Shanann did admit to beating Christopher all the way across the house more than once. You have to listen to what is said because the answers are there. She was an illusionist, and this is what people are not understanding, because if you've not yourself been a victim of this type of abuse, you may not understand it. And that is wonderful, because that means that you have not lived a life where you have to question your own survival. You have to question what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes to survive. That means that you have led a healthy lifestyle and that you have not been abused. Wonderful. So go and live that wonderful life that you have and stop trying to silence those of us who know better, because just because somebody says it isn't true doesn't work for most of us. If indeed these shiners believe that everything is just as simple as can be, that Chris was just a stupid monster and just did this because he is a dirty, dirty dog and he went and had an affair and he decided that Shanann wasn't good enough anymore. And so not only her, but he wanted to get rid of the whole family and just start all over, just like an Etch-a-Sketch, and just scratch everything from reality and start all over because he was just dumb as a rock. Well, as you all might have seen the other night when I commented in the Reddit thread, Watts Free For All, if you're not in that, please join. It's actually really good. There's some really good people in there that are bringing up a lot of good talking points and food for thought. But when I said that his IQ was 140, people really started throwing back at me, laughing at me, saying, no, he was stupid, blah, blah, blah. So then when I did my video and mentioned it, as you might have seen, that one person said that they had to stop watching my video because I said that Christopher Watts had an IQ of 140, that that Einstein was 160 and he was a genius. So me saying that Christopher Watts had an IQ of 140 made them stop watching my video. They said that they themselves only placed 29. I'm literally scratching my head here because that would kind of explain a lot in that comment. But it's not anything that I made up. He literally was given an IQ test. That's part of a psychological evaluation when you are going to be placed in incarceration long term, because they want to see the type of prisoner that you will be based on your behavioral needs and your global affect and global functioning. I can't even say the words anymore. I've been out of college for too long. But your GAF. So they're trying to see how you function. And once they saw that he had an IQ of 140, I don't think they looked further. I believe that they needed to go into this and look further to see what type of personality disorders he had. And maybe they did. And maybe he didn't have a damn thing wrong with him and he was just a victim of abuse. And don't jump on me because I just said that. This man who had zero history of any type of violence whatsoever had not had any type of conduct disorder any time in his life, was a good son, a good friend, a good brother, a good father, and a good husband, does not just one day do what he's accused of doing. There was something there. There was something under the surface. There was something there that made everything erupt, and the whole house of cards literally shattered. Just like the tectonic plates, we don't see them. We don't see that there are little minor earthquakes going on underneath. Does that mean that they're not there because we can't see them? Because we can't Google and, well, you could Google and see how they're moving. And then just one day there's an earthquake. Well, earthquakes just don't happen out of anywhere. They are a bigger aspect of something that had been going on for a very, very long time. One could argue that religion as a whole doesn't exist. One could say God doesn't exist because I don't see it, in the same way that the Shiners say that what we're saying about what was going on under that surface in the Watts home on Saratoga Trail, what was going on there, that underlying stress every day from the lies, deceit, and delusions came to a fever pitch. Something had to give. And I only talk about this because Bella and Cece deserved more. If this was two adults, I honestly don't care. I mean, if it was just two adults, but you know what? If it was two adults, this wouldn't be all over the headlines. This wouldn't be something of folklore about this. Yeah, you better make your husband's sandwich right, because if you go and you leave him unattended, he's going to go and find another woman, and he's going to come back and whack y'all, your kids and everything, because another woman could come along. That's the way it is. You're going to make people believe that? Sounds a little patriarchal to me. Maybe it's a bunch of men wanting us to believe this narrative that you better behave and you better stay put, because if you go off for 6 weeks, well, look what I'm going to do. The woman needs to stay right where she's at, because men don't have any control over their manly ways. And if they don't have a way of releasing, then they're just going to find something somewhere to... This is the kind of thing that the Shiners want us to believe. And when you break it down and you say that in that last 6 weeks, not only did Christopher Watts go out there once and visit, but Shanann went on these other little mini vacations with the other man also. Now, because Shanann was saying that she wasn't having an affair, people believe it. And who did she even say she wasn't having an affair to? To her husband? I don't know what her husband knew. I know that her husband knew that they were talking about divorce. I know that they were talking about separation. I know that she was talking about divorce so openly that she did it in a restaurant in front of her friend at a Benihana type open seating table, talking about how she was going to have to get an attorney for custody and how Colorado law was for getting custody of children. And I know that Christopher Watts was sleeping downstairs. Does that sound like a perfect marriage to you? If you're talking about divorce and separation and selling the house, and your husband is sleeping downstairs, does that sound like the perfect marriage? Not at all. People say, oh, because she was hot, because she was pregnant, so she sent him downstairs. No. He'd been sleeping downstairs for a while. That's why you see all of the pictures of the bed downstairs. He refers to sleeping downstairs, which does not make sense as to how the night that she came home, he was allegedly in her bed. These things don't make sense. Look at the things that don't make sense and look at the surrounding situation and do your own investigation. Don't be rude when somebody says something in a conversation thread and say, well, prove it. Prove it. Just because you say it isn't so doesn't mean anything. Well, but you're expecting me to believe the same thing. That because you say this is true, that I'm supposed to believe it. Where's your fucking link? This is a conversation in the Reddit thread. I don't have to cite sources. This is my own channel that I don't make any money off of. I believe in speaking the truth so that other people know and understand the truth for what it is. Because the truth will withstand all tests. Lies won't. Who is trying to silence me so viciously? Who has tried to silence all channels that speak in the way that I do? And why? Am I out there trying to silence the shiners? Do I go to the the Shiner channel and tell them how dumb they are, sitting there reading and looking at everything and going, oh, poor Shanann, she just didn't know. And, poor Shanann, she was just trying so hard. And, you gotta give it to the girl. She just did this and that. She did what? Do you want to know why you don't see other moms out there posting like she did? It's because the other moms are actually busy engaging and doing the things that their children and their family need each day. They don't have time to videotape it. They don't have time to set up a fake commercial and tell their children what to say. They don't use their children like puppets. They look at the needs of their child and they accommodate accordingly. Those are real mothers. And it saddens me that these weird, narcissistic, stage mom weirdos are now making these channels to act like because they farted, they need a participation trophy. I mean, get out. The two things that Shanann said that she did that, oh, thank God she had the Thrive for. Because without the Thrive, she wouldn't have been able to do these two things. And those two things were done when her child is in the daycare that she couldn't afford. That she manipulated her way in. That she was commanding the way that they treated the girls and making the girls get special and different treatment in that daycare. So it was a question in the Reddit thread people didn't understand. I had said, because people are now understanding, because Shanann herself bragged about how the girls were sleep trained, that they needed their naps, that they were sleep trained, and that they slept when she put them down so that she had quality time for herself. She put those girls behind locked doors without toilet privileges. But there was a bathroom between their bedrooms, so that isn't true. Yeah, that bathroom was secondarily locked, and the water was taken out of the toilet. But they had each other. No, there was a lock on each door, and the door to the bathroom was locked. So the girls could not even communicate with each other during the 15 hours out of a 24-hour day. You tell me what kind of mothering that is, because it isn't mothering at all. That's neglect. That is neglect by any definition. A newborn barely sleeps 15 hours a day. It's not healthy. During the first 5 years of life, children's brains are an absolute sponge. You will learn more than you ever will at any time period in your life before the age of 5. That is why it is imperative for children before the age of 5 to be nurtured, be taught that they can have needs and those needs will be met. That they are not to feel bad for having basic needs. That those hours in which they are awake are to be met with fun, laughter, love, learning, running, playing, eating, laughing. Those girls didn't get that. Because in order to pull off this 15-hour nap bullshit, she had to convince everybody that her girls were sickly. That they were so sick, feeble, and couldn't play and learn and laugh and love like other children because they'd get them fevers. because she was convincing herself and everybody that her children had FMF, familial Mediterranean fevers, which, yes, I know that there's people who are going to say, I have that, my cousin has that. Bella and Cece didn't have it. It was not in their medical records. It was not in their autopsy reports. They did not have it. But even in her hashtags, if you look and see where she wrote, hate her fevers about Bella, she would say that, oh, Bella's having another one of her fevers. Yeah, it's called childhood. You're developing an immune system. And therefore, you need to let children be around other children. Go have fun. Go to the park. Go play. Children are sick a lot of times under the age of 5. And it just happens. And then when they start kindergarten, they get even sicker. And that is because they are developing an immune system. It is completely normal. But that inconvenienced her because she was making a lifestyle that she saw in brochures of an MLM that finally fit that image that she so wanted. By the age of 15, she started selling Amway with her father. She did not get along with her mother. Her mother slapped her and threw her out, and somehow they know that she has freakishly strong legs. And somehow there was long periods of time where she wasn't in school because of her headaches. Like Bella's fevers. How many generations had there been Munchausen by proxy-ish parenting? If you convince a child that they're sick, they'll believe you. If you convince others that your child is sick, they'll believe you. If you doctor shop because no doctors will tell you that you're sick, you might just find one who says, sure, your kid's sick because they need to have clients. And that's what she did. Look at how many doctors and specialists she took those poor girls to. The same amount of specialists she took herself to. When in fact, she had to flee from the company she worked at where she had this fast car, shiny car, lived that lifestyle, was rumored to be having an affair with the owner, worked there with her father, was living the life. She liked that life, but unfortunately she got caught up in a little legal snafu or two, and she was accused of embezzlement to the tune of $50,000. So you know what she did? Oh, she got so sick that every doctor couldn't figure it out. So sick that in the midst of it all, she met a Chris Watts and she made him sit there for the colonoscopy prep. Laid her head on his lap one night and then had a colonoscopy scheduled, and he stayed there for it. So if he stayed there for that, he's a trooper. Yeah, he didn't run in a colonoscopy prep. I mean, that's a great qualification for a husband. It honestly is. I mean, I have Crohn's disease, so I can tell you that's Anyway, she was going through all of her specialist things and everything. And then, of course, what happens when you're sick with all of these things they can't explain? They're going to rule out an underlying autoimmune disease such as lupus. And that is what happened. So they suggested lupus to her. And rather than coming out with the frustrating and often shameful truth of coming out and saying, I had all these tests, I went to all these specialists, the doctor said there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. That's a really hard thing to deal with. It's really hard to face. I've dealt with it because the illnesses that I had didn't have a name. They didn't understand until there were more certain tests done and blah, 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 blah. And think about people who had HIV before we knew what HIV was. They were told nothing's wrong with them because we didn't have those tests until the right test is done. So it seemed that when Shanann was up against the wall, she played sick. And maybe she was sick. You can absolutely have physical symptoms due to stress. Absolutely 1000%. Yes, you can. You can have it's called somatic feelings. So you can have somatoform feeling. You can have physical feelings to stress. Stress is not good for you. And so she was stressed out because what was she going to do? She was accused, she lost her job. She worked there with her dad. She had this great fun lifestyle with that job, living that dirty South lifestyle. What was going to happen to her? she lost her job. She's accused of embezzlement. Is she going to go to jail? Well, she met Chris, and Chris was willing to marry her, go to a different state far away so she could change her name. And that's what she did. So when the Shining Light channels, the Shiners go, oh, Shanann. Even her own parents don't say Shanann. The reason why the Shanann thing came is because she thought that when she fled to Colorado with her new Watts last name, if she put an apostrophe after the N in Shannon and started saying her name was Shanann, then they would not be able to find her when they're trying to look her up for possible legal challenges, legal charges for the embezzlement. She laid low for 2 years. She was a nanny for a nurse practitioner, I believe is the way that it goes. And that's how she got Dieter. Dieter, was Dieter theirs, or Dieter was the puppy of one of theirs? Something like that. But for she was a nanny. And so she laid low, didn't show up on anything, basically hid from the embezzlement and the dirty South and Hashem and all of that. And then reappears reinvented as this real housewife of Saratoga Trail, building this beautiful house in Colorado. Who could ask for more? She had everything, right? Well, look into that. Look into just that history alone. Did she graduate high school? Nobody knows. Was she a nurse? No. Did she work in a hospital? Yeah. She answered phones on the hotline, so she learned a lot of things to say that were wrong with her children, because she loved seeing mothers coming in, being praised, and having these children that were not intimidating at all, not running around at all. They were sick, and you could hold them and love them. Just like when people get puppies. They love the puppies because the puppies will lay there and you can cuddle them and everything. Not so much when that dog is all full grown and has its own needs, right? She wanted the puppies. She wanted the babies. So she learned how to train her kids to believe that they were as sick as she was telling other people they were. Because in so doing, if those girls were trained not bothering anybody for 15 hours out of a 24-hour day, they were trained that their needs didn't matter, that hers mattered. And that is not a mother. A mother realizes very, very soon that her baby comes before her. Think about it. If there's harm coming, what kind of a mother would put their baby out in front of them? Any good mother would put themselves in front of harm. Did she? Or did she put them right in the line of fire? Would Bella and Cece and Nico be running around right now, getting ready to be on the bus to come home and have a good afternoon snack, had her games and manipulation and pretending so that her lifestyle stayed the same as it was for that dirty South girl she was? Living that dirty South lifestyle. If her needs were put behind that of her children, would her children be alive and happy today? Ask yourself that. Makes you think, doesn't it? So, if anybody asked her, because there must have been a point in which she was complaining, because she learned early on with Bella that, oh my God, being a mom is inconvenient. You can't have that dirty South lifestyle and be everything that you want to be, like you see on those brochures for those MLMs. And she tried every MLM. She tried Origami Owl. She tried 31. She tried the Lash Serum. She tried Amway. She tried, oh God, what are the other ones? All of them. Though the oils. And none of them were able to cover for her lies as much as the Thrive lifestyle would, because the Thrive purported that lifestyle where you could be on boats and you could be in the sun and you could be out there partying all day and all night because you control your destiny. You can sit there and be a stay-at-home mom and live this lifestyle. Well, the two don't even come into the same world, but she made a way to make that happen. She was technically a stay-at-home mom. Yes, because sometimes she stayed at home and she was a mom. But she has sent them to a very expensive preschool that she could not afford. She was not making the mortgage payments. If you have not listened to my videos, go back and listen to how this all is. She was not making the mortgage payment. She was buying all of the Thrive products so that she would place up, so that she would qualify for these free vacations and the Lexus, because she was not telling Christopher Watts that, in fact, she was not paying the house payment. So the house was going to go into foreclosure. That's why she went to visit her parents. She never had any intention of coming back to Colorado. She had other plans. Because she figured that Christopher Watts was going to find out that that house was going into foreclosure, because she could no longer stop the foreclosure process. And as my last video I explained in it, did he get the mail and did he find out? And was that the pressure point? Were these tectonic plates sitting there underneath everything at that Saratoga Trail? And when he saw everything, the internal fire inside of him just blew, and he had the biggest earthquake and he erupted and he did the unthinkable? Possibly. But would Christopher Watts himself have done this had she not lied so much that he was living a lie that he had no idea, and he may not even have any idea to this day, the depth of her lies, because he wanted to avoid it all. When you think back about his quasi-confession, the first thing he said is he said that she did the girls and then he did her, blah, blah, blah. The man wasn't sleeping because she was putting on Thrive patches on him, which we don't even know what was in that formulary mix, because allegedly they changed the formula after that time period. They never did any blood tests or blood work of any kind on Christopher Watts, which is a shame, because we should know what was in his blood. In Cece's autopsy, a breakdown product in her body is that of amphetamine. And somebody wisely said that maybe it was from Zantac, because Zantac can have a breakdown of like an amphetamine. And that's a very good possibility, because there are doctors who would use a second line allergy pill. They would use Zantac as an allergy deterrent, because your immune system is in your stomach and your allergies manifest in the stomach. When you have anaphylaxis, people think it's right away the breathing, but they don't realize that you have a lot of stomach issues first. So there is, this is why I love this Reddit thread, because I'm getting such good feedback and information from people. Yes, there's the shiners that get mad because they're not able to participate in the conversations that we're having at the grown-up table, and they get frustrated because they're at the kid table. So then they see my channel link and they go over and they tell me that I'm disgusting, but remember, they can't spell disgusting, it's too big of a word, so they misspell it and they put dick sucking. You're dick sucking again. All right, whatever, guilty as charged. I'm a big dick sucker, whatever. But why are the shiners coming in where we're talking about this to tell us that we're wrong, if fundamentally something inside of them doesn't even believe what is being fed to them? But bottom line is, the channels that purport the rhetoric that we are supposed to believe. We're supposed to believe this traditional thing that you need to be a good mom and a good wife, because if you dare to leave your post as a good mom and a good wife, then your husband will find another woman and then dispose of you and the children like trash, because fundamentally all men are monsters, and that's what they'll do. Okay, they want us to believe that. Those channels that purport that and every day are like saying Christopher Watts is a stupid monster, they have so many views. They have so many subscribers. So they make so much money. Look at it. Do they even believe what they're saying? Or do they believe that it's nice to get a lot of money, having a lot of stupid people saying the same stupid stuff over and over, and then going and telling stupid stuff to other people who are not stupid? And there was a long time I didn't want to call anybody stupid. But I'm just so sick of the shiners coming and telling me that I'm disgusting. And the other one who was a very shiny shiner the other day. I mean, her photo illuminated. She was so shiny a shiner. Told me I need to shut up and get a life. Oh, okay. I'll work on that, ma'am. Shanann didn't have lupus, and her children did not have familial Mediterranean fever. They had whatever, and they were more sick because she was not letting them be around other children in the way that they should be to develop the immunity to not be that sick. A lot of people will look back at the pandemic and know that, you know what, we ended up getting a lot sicker when we started coming back around each other because we had been isolated. So you need to be around people, be building up your immune system to keep that strong immune system. Let your body fight it. There's a lot of science to it. So, this was all about her. This was all about Shanann. And this was all about her control. She had to have control over everything and everybody. From her children to her parents to her friends to the daycare workers. Now, this video that's going to be playing in the back is one of the ones that is from Shanann's Facebook. This is her at an MLM meeting, or one of her little vacations, where she is sitting next to the man that she may or may not have had an affair with. Many people do speculate that the other Chris, that's why when she's saying, when her mom said that, yeah, the DNA, there was a DNA test done on Nico. Why would there be a DNA test given on a married woman? Unless and indeed there was speculation that the baby that she was carrying was not his. Christopher Watts had not been having relations with her for a long time. That's why the "oops, we did it again" video says it all. That's why she was lying about her birth date, and that is why she had not had any prenatal care at all to that point, because she was lying about how far along she was, because she didn't want Christopher to put it all together. Now let's look at the time frame. When the unthinkable happened, the last time she had seen Christopher was when she had her friend with her in the ultrasound, privately paid for, to determine gender for the gender reveal. Could Christopher Watts have seen the dates and the due date of that baby then and started to put everything together? And then when he saw the mail saying that the house was in foreclosure and those two things while she was gone yet again on another MLM adventure, and he started putting things together at an alarming speed, and whether or not he's on the spectrum or not, could not process everything, and he did get so angry that he did the unthinkable? Maybe. I don't know, because there wasn't a proper investigation done by the people who are supposed to do the investigations. But this video right here that she's showing everybody, yes, there's the other man sitting right next to her, and she's having the time of her life where her kids are back, sleep trained, sleeping 15 hours out at 24 hours. And her husband is supposed to be sitting there going with the directions that she laid out for every single thing that he can do and not do. And the babysitter, she had to call the babysitter to make sure the babysitter put the girls to bed at the right time and everything too. Those bedtimes and those nap times had to be proven to her, because don't you dare deviate from the schedule, because that would be putting their needs ahead of hers. And nobody did that to Shanann. Nobody. Well, watch this video as you're listening to me. And remember, when you want to see what's really going on, watch these videos without the sound. Because she says this isn't true, does not make it so. Watch the videos and see what you see. Without her saying it, you will then find the answers. Okay? So I want to go to a place here that is not as fun as some discussions are. It's a little deeper than you're used to, but it's an important concept for those of us who are working hard to understand and be able to further break down the case. There's the man that she's alleged to have the affair with, and goes back and forth because they are sitting together. So, do you think that Chris Miller looks like Cece? You have two sisters, one brown hair, one blonde hair. He's fairer skinned than Christopher Watts. Chris and Shanann both have the brown hair. Bella looks like both of them. Cece looks more like Christopher Miller, in my opinion. And I know that somebody jumped on me and said, I don't understand recessive genes, but I do understand when there's two sisters that are supposedly from the same father, and one is brown-haired and one is blonde-haired, and you're rumored to have an affair, and you're out there with another man who looks a lot more like your child from the other man does, but we're in a pretend reality when we're talking about Shanann's behavior. We're in her reality, which is pretend. Is Shanann a victim of her own childhood? Possibly, because there's a reason in which she had to develop the way that she did, and she developed personality disorders. Is that Sandra, her mother's fault? We don't know. We don't know how Sandra was raised. We don't know if Sandra was also abused and the thing went on. From everything, I do believe that Sandra had love in her, and I know that she loved those grandchildren, but so did the Watts. I believe that Sandra couldn't deal with what Shanann was doing, and that's why when Shanann finally let everything go and she went off with Chris Miller for yet another vacation in that time frame, and she forgot about the girls and just let the parents have total control over the girls. You saw the girls thrive and love and laugh and have so much fun, and their hair looked beautiful. And in a pretend world, pretending makes it so. Okay? That is stated by author Patricia Evans. Patricia Evans wrote a book, well, she's written a few books about mental abuse, and we can let this video play too. Why is that not coming up? That should come up. Just a second. Let me see what is going on with this one. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. Technical difficulties here. Why is that not working? Just a second, let me fix this. I'm sorry, and then we'll get into the not so fun parts of the discussion here. That are important. So if you want to grab something to drink while I fix this. What is going on? That should be playing. Okay, so we'll go here. My computer's freezing up. What are you doing there? I hope I'm still recording. There we are. There we are. Maybe we can just leave it like that. Make sure everything's going on here. You know what? I'm afraid that this isn't recording, so I'm going to stop it right here. And I'm going to check. Hold on. Hold, please. Well, that's not even me doing that right there. Okay, what is going on? Ah! What is going on here? Okay, so that's the video. So then why won't you let me go out here? There we are. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to cut this and then we'll go back to the next.